Eustace Conway's story begins with a simple idea: bringing order to chaos. As a child growing up in suburban North Carolina, he felt disconnected from the structured world around him. At just 12 years old, he walked into the woods behind his home and chose to survive on his own for a full week. He brought nothing with him: no food, no gear, no map, only curiosity and determination. While other children spent their time indoors, Conway immersed himself in nature, learning its rhythms and challenges firsthand. When he returned, something had changed. He discovered a deeper sense of purpose in the wilderness, a place where life felt more honest and understandable. That moment became the foundation of everything that followed. It wasn't just a childhood experiment. It was the beginning of a lifelong commitment to living beyond society's expectations and reconnecting with a world he believed made more sense. Born in 1961 in South Carolina and raised in North Carolina, Conway grew up in a household shaped by extremes. His father, a highly educated professor, demanded perfection and often expressed disappointment harshly. Criticism was constant, and encouragement was rare. Despite this, his father also introduced him to the outdoors, showing him the beauty and complexity of nature. This contradiction left a lasting impact. Conway found peace in the very environment his father had shown him, yet he also carried the emotional weight of his upbringing. His mother, on the other hand, provided balance. She taught him practical survival skills: how to fish, build fires, and understand the land. These lessons became essential to his identity. While one parent instilled pressure, the other gave him the tools to escape it. Together, these influences shaped a young man determined to define life on his own terms, far from the expectations placed upon him. By the age of 17, Conway made a decision that would define his future. He left home and chose to live entirely in the wilderness. He built a teepee in the Appalachian Mountains and began surviving through traditional methods: hunting, foraging, and crafting tools by hand. This was not a temporary adventure. It became his reality for nearly 2 decades. Despite his unconventional lifestyle, Conway pursued education and excelled academically, earning a degree in anthropology and English. He stood out among his peers, often wearing buckskin clothing and living differently from everyone around him. His choices were deliberate, not accidental. He understood modern society but rejected it in favor of something older and more connected to nature. This balance between intellect and survival skill made him unique. He wasn't escaping ignorance. He was making a conscious decision to live in alignment with his beliefs, regardless of how others perceived him. Before establishing his permanent home, Conway spent years pushing his limits through extraordinary journeys. He traveled thousands of miles using only traditional methods, testing his endurance and knowledge. He paddled down the Mississippi River in a handmade canoe, hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, and explored remote regions like Alaska and Guatemala. These experiences deepened his understanding of both nature and human resilience. He lived among indigenous communities, learning from their traditions and integrating their wisdom into his own lifestyle. Each journey reinforced his belief that modern life had lost something essential. These weren't stunts designed for attention. They were personal explorations of what it meant to live authentically. By the time he settled down, Conway had already proven that his way of life was possible. He had gained not only survival skills but also a philosophy rooted in independence, discipline, and respect for the natural world. In 1987, Conway took a major step by purchasing land in the mountains of North Carolina. He named it Turtle Island Preserve, inspired by a Native American legend. Over time, he transformed the land into a vast wilderness education center. Using only hand tools and traditional techniques, he built cabins, bridges, and workshops. The preserve became a place where people could learn survival skills and reconnect with nature. It wasn't just a personal project, it was a mission to teach others. Schools, camps, and groups visited regularly, gaining hands-on experience in a world far removed from modern conveniences. Conway's vision was clear: to preserve knowledge that he believed was disappearing. The land grew to nearly 1,000 acres, supported by like-minded neighbors. Turtle Island became both a sanctuary and a classroom, representing decades of dedication. It stood as proof that one person's vision could create something meaningful and lasting. However, Conway's journey was not without conflict. In 2006, a serious accident occurred on the property when a visitor was permanently injured during a demonstration. The resulting legal battle brought financial strain and public scrutiny. Years later, government officials investigated the preserve, citing numerous building code violations. Structures built using traditional methods did not meet modern regulations. Authorities demanded changes, threatening to shut down the programs entirely. Conway saw this as an attack on his way of life and fought back publicly. The situation escalated into a larger debate about cultural preservation versus modern safety standards. For Conway, it wasn't just about buildings. It was about protecting a philosophy. The tension between independence and regulation became a defining chapter in his story. It highlighted the challenges of maintaining a traditional lifestyle within a system designed for modern society, where rules often clash with alternative ways of living. The conflict eventually led to an unexpected outcome. Conway took his case to state officials, explaining the importance of Turtle Island and its educational mission. His efforts gained widespread support, leading to the creation of new legislation. In 2013, North Carolina passed a law allowing exemptions for primitive structures used for educational purposes. This victory was significant, not just for Conway but for others who shared similar values. It showed that change was possible, even within rigid systems. Turtle Island reopened, and its programs resumed. However, the struggle had taken a toll. Financial losses, legal battles, and public attention had changed the nature of his work. While he had won the fight, the cost was undeniable. The experience revealed both the power of persistence and the reality that standing against established systems often requires sacrifice, even when the outcome is ultimately successful. Around the same time, Conway became widely known through a television series that showcased his lifestyle. The show brought him national attention, turning him into a symbol of self-reliance. However, it also introduced complications. Reality television often dramatized events, blending truth with storytelling. Behind the scenes, aspects of the show were staged or adjusted for entertainment. This created a gap between perception and reality. While the exposure helped promote his work, it also attracted scrutiny. Critics questioned the authenticity of what they saw on screen. Conway himself acknowledged this tension, recognizing that television required drama that didn't always reflect everyday life. Fame amplified everything: his achievements, his struggles, and his controversies. It placed him in a position where his personal philosophy was constantly being interpreted and sometimes misunderstood by a much larger audience. One of the most significant losses in Conway's life came with the death of his close friend and collaborator, Preston Roberts. For decades, Roberts had been an essential part of Turtle Island, helping run operations and teach visitors. His passing in 2017 marked a turning point. The dynamic that had defined much of Conway's work changed overnight. The preserve continued, but something was missing. In the years that followed, Conway appeared less frequently in the public eye. His role in the television series eventually ended without clear explanation. He stepped back from leadership at Turtle Island, which transitioned into a non-profit organization. Though still connected to the land, his involvement became more limited. The loss of his friend and the shift in his life's work left a noticeable impact. It was a reminder that even the most independent individuals are shaped by the relationships they build. Today, Conway lives a quieter life, still connected to the mountains that defined him. His legacy is complex, part visionary, part controversial figure. He built something rare in the modern world: a life driven by principle rather than convenience. Yet his journey also reflects the challenges of maintaining that path over time. Personal relationships, public scrutiny, and changing circumstances all left their mark. His story is not a simple tale of success or failure. It is a continuous cycle of building, losing, and adapting. The wilderness he chose decades ago remains, as does the philosophy that guided him. Whether viewed as an inspiration or a cautionary example, Conway's life invites reflection on what it truly means to live authentically. His story is still unfolding, shaped by the same forces that first led a 12-year-old boy into the woods in search of something real.